Welcome to the Start Something Show. Join world-renowned experts, change agents, and everyday folks who have done the amazing. All here to help you start something incredible. Now it's time to step out, live your perfect day, and create a legacy with your host, Tina Dietz.
What if I were to tell you that you are never going to be happier than you have been in the past? That you have a happiness set point that is determined by your biology? Would you believe that? Today we're going to be talking again with best-selling author and happiness expert Marci Shimoff, who you might know from her work in the movie and the book The Secret, or from her New York Times best-selling books on happiness. We're going to get into the neuroscience of happiness and discuss if we really are pre-wired for a certain amount of happiness or if we can make a change based on our habits on a daily basis. Research shows that happier people make more money, get sick less, and have happier children. So maybe turning that frown upside down, as cheesy as it sounds, is more important than we thought. So we're going to get right with Marci after one quick note of appreciation. You love great stories, and you love learning, and you also want to be entertained, right? Man, you're so high maintenance, but that's okay. Because audiobooks are your friend, and Audible is the place to find them. It's where my audiobook clients sell the most books. So you can go get a free audiobook download, any book your heart desires, doesn't matter how long it is, and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/startsomething. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Two of my personal favorites are Rising Strong by Brené Brown and Mass Influence by my very dear friend and Start Something guest, Teresa de Grosbois. Go check it out. You can find it all at audibletrial.com/startsomething. Welcome back, Superstarters, to our Backstage Pass with Marci Shimoff, the #1 New York Times bestselling author, world-renowned transformational teacher, and expert on happiness, success, and unconditional love. And make sure you visit her at happyfornoreason.com and youryearofmiracles.com, too, after the Backstage Pass today. So, Marci, we were going to dig in a little bit more to some of your work here, and something that because I love neuroscience so much and the whole biological portion and how it interacts with our psychology and spirituality, I have to ask you about this concept that a lot of people don't know about, which is that human beings actually have a biological happiness set point.
Yes. To me, this was such a stunning thing to understand, and it really explained a lot for me. We all have a happiness set point. It's like a thermostat setting. And what it means is that no matter what happens to us, whether good or bad, we will actually hover around our happiness set point unless we do something consciously to change it. So, for example, and this to me is a dramatic example, if you win the lottery, and a lot of people think, well, that's all I would need and I would certainly be happy. It is true. You would be happier for a couple of months. But within about a year, you would return to your original happiness set point. And by the way, the same is true for people who have tragedies happen to them. Generally, within about a year, they will return to their original happiness set point. So honestly, the set point is the key to everything. It's the key to our happiness. And here's how the set point is determined. It is 50% genetic. You're born with it. That's your DNA. It's only 10% your circumstances. That is such a small piece of the whole pie. But that's what most people spend all their life focusing on to try to change. But it's so
no
tiny.
Kidding.
The other 40% is your habits of thoughts and behavior. And that's the piece that we can really do something about to raise our happiness set point. Now I'm going to take it a step further and say that 50% genetic piece that we talked about, there are progressive scientists in a field called epigenetics. Amongst them is Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief. And they say that our DNA or our genes are even influenced by these habits of thoughts and behavior, which tells me that up to 90% of our happiness set point can be changed, influenced by these habits of ours. And I've done a lot of research on this. I've interviewed thousands of people, and I've studied all the research, and I found that there are 21 main happiness habits that anyone can practice to raise their happiness set point. And to me, that's like so incredible. It's like, I think it should be headline news that we can raise our happiness set point. And
I agree.
And the other piece of good news about that is that it's not even hard to do. So I want to make sure that I share with you at least a couple of things that everybody listening can do to raise their happiness set point.
All right, so if you're listening to this, now would be a good time to actually take out a pen and paper and start to do this because, Marci, you've talked about in the first half of our show how you were not kind of born happy either.
Oh, my God. I was so not born happy and didn't grow up happy. And I would say that I would have probably given myself a D+ in happiness in my early years. And I would say now I'm an A. And it's not that I've got it. I'm still a work in progress. I'm still working on it, but it's dramatic. And I've seen it with thousands and thousands of people that I've worked with who've learned some of these habits and practiced them. It doesn't matter where you are right now on the happiness continuum. You can raise your happiness set point.
Well, I'm relieved.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to tell one other piece of good news about this. The happier you are, the happier your children will be. So if you are raising children, you want to focus on your happiness habits because that will help them with their happiness habits. Also, the happier you are, the more money you will make. Happier people make, on average, $1 million more than unhappy people. The happier you are, the healthier you'll be. You're 1/3 less likely to get sick. You'll live, on average, 9 years longer. And the happier you are, the better your relationships will be. So there's lots of fringe benefits to getting happy.
This is really great. Now, I know that there's probably some folks out there right now being a bit devil's advocate-ish and saying, well, isn't this, trying to be happy, just saying I'm happy all the time, just kind of putting icing on a mud pie and we're trying to just cover it up. But I know that that's not necessarily the case, right?
I love that question. Thank you for asking that. We are not talking about some Pollyanna pie in the sky kind of a state. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about shoving your problems under a rug. The thing about, and we're not talking about just, make up your mind to be happy. I don't actually believe in that. These 21 habits fall into 7 different areas of life. And it's a holistic approach because it's not just about your thoughts and your mind. That's one of the 7 pieces of this. But it's I created an analogy. I called it building your inner home for happiness. And a home has 7 main elements to it. It's got a foundation, 4 corner pillars, a roof, and a garden. And here's how that relates to these 7 areas of happiness. The foundation is taking responsibility for your happiness. It's not being a victim in life. It's not going around blaming everything and all your circumstances for your unhappiness, but saying, hey, wait, I can do something about this. It's being a victor in life rather than a victim. Then there's the 4 corner pillars of your home. And the pillars are your mind, and that's the part that has to do with your thoughts and changing your thoughts. Your body, and that's about creating the cells in your body for happiness. Really, what are you eating? How are you sleeping? I mean, your sleep has more to do with your happiness today than your marital status or your income level, your quality of sleep that you got last night. So there's some specific things that you can do to help your body create more chemicals of happiness. Then another pillar is the pillar of your heart, your emotions. Do you live in gratitude? Do you forgive easily? And then your 4th pillar is your spirit, and your spirit has to do with how connected you feel to the greater energy of life, to the spiritual essence of life. Then there's the roof of your home for happiness, and that has to do with your purpose or passion. Are you inspired by what you're doing? Are you doing what you feel like you're here to do? And then finally, the 7th area is the garden, and that has to do with who you surround yourself with. Are you surrounded by weeds or toxic people? Or are you surrounded by gardenias and roses, the people that support you in your happiness? So you have to look at all 7 of those areas. And I actually have an assessment, a happy for no reason self-assessment that you can take to see where you're stronger or where you're weaker and where to start with this.
Oh, I love that. Is that something that we can give people a link to
Absolutely.
on the page here?
Yes.
All right, I'll get that from you. We'll make sure that is right on the page so people can click on it and
Wonderful.
go to it, because that's fabulous.
Yes, great.
That's really great. Now, I love the visual of the house. It's very easy to remember, having a foundation and pillars and a roof and a garden. Now, for our folks listening out there, again, is there... Do they have to kind of jump in and take it all at once, or can they start with one pillar?
Another great question. You can't take it all at once. What I tell people to do is to find where your weakness is. It's your Achilles heel, and start there, because that's where you'll have the greatest benefit, is starting at your weakest piece. And that's going to be different for different people. But I told you that I wanted to get really practical, and I want to give people at least a couple of things that they can do right away. So I'm going to share with you a couple of universal things that anybody can do. Is that all right, Tina?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great. So the first one I want to share with you has to do with putting yourself, moving from what science calls the stress response. We all know what that feels like. You're stuck in traffic and you're late for a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're in a meeting and it's boring and you're frustrated. So many times during the day, we are in the stress response, and it's a physiological state with different brain activity, heart rhythms, and different biochemistry. There's also this place called the love response. It's a scientifically found state. A Harvard doctor, Eva Selhub, coined the term the love response. And it's got its own physiological state. And right now I want us to do a practice that takes about 2 minutes, and it will move you into the love response. How does that sound?
That's perfect. Let's do it.
Great. I learned it, by the way, from a group called the Institute of Heart Math. They're the world's leading researchers on the heart and how it affects our happiness. So you can do this. I want everybody to do this along with us, because listening to us do it is no fun and will get you no benefit. So please do this with us, and you can do it with your eyes opened or closed. So if you're not able to close your eyes, no worries. But if you are able to close your eyes, please do that right now. And I'm closing my eyes.
Please do not close your eyes while driving.
Please do not. Thank you.
Yes.
So if either way, eyes open or closed, first step, there's 3 steps. First step is to simply place the palm of your hand over your heart. Now, this simple act of putting your hand on your heart starts the flow of a chemical called oxytocin. And oxytocin is dubbed the love hormone because it's what we have more of when we feel bonded and connected with each other. So mothers who are breastfeeding have lots of oxytocin. Or when we make love, we have lots of oxytocin. But just right now, with your hand on your heart, you're increasing the flow of oxytocin in your body. Now, the second step is to imagine that you're breathing in and out through the center of your heart. So just picture or feel that you're breathing into your heart and you're breathing out of your heart. At your own pace, you're inhaling into your heart, you're exhaling out of your heart. And you can either picture that for those of you who are good at visualizing, or if not, you can just feel it. Either one works equally well. You're breathing into and out of your heart. And you may already be noticing that you're feeling some shifts in your body or emotionally. And finally, the third step is on each inhale, imagine that you're breathing in love, ease, and compassion. You can exhale normally from your heart, but on each inhale, breathe into your heart love, breathe in ease, breathe in compassion. Again, just at your own pace, breathing into your heart, love, ease, and compassion. And you can remember a time when you felt those things, or you can just say those words internally, and it will work just as well. Breathing in love, ease, and compassion, and exhaling out of your heart. And one last time, breathing deeply into your heart, taking in love, ease, and compassion. And on the next exhale, you can slowly open your eyes if they were closed and you can gently take your hand away from your heart. And what I'd like you to do right now is to just notice how you feel any different than how you felt 2 minutes ago. That was just 2 minutes that we did that. And did you feel any different physically? Or do you feel any different now emotionally? And Tina, do you mind being my guinea pig for this?
Not at all.
So
Not
tell
at
us,
all.
if you will, do you feel any different? And if so, how do you feel different?
Yeah, I was happy before we started the exercise because the show and what I do in life is my passion, so I'm very happy. But this exercise brought me into that state of feeling like I'm in love, like in love with the world, and in love with you, in love with my listeners, and I'm thinking about my family and in another room of the house here outside my studio, and there's a peace to it.
So what you've just said is symptomatic of the love response. Now, different people have different experiences. So some of you may just feel a calm, which is perfect. That's all you need to feel. You don't need to feel this great expanded love. That calm is symptomatic of the love response. Some of you may feel more grounded, more just sort of secure, balanced, at peace. Some people may have physical sensations like a warmth in your heart or a tingling in your hands and feet. All of these are signs that you're moving into the love response. And here's the thing about this. Doing it once is just a nice experience. It won't really create much, lasting change. But if you do this every day, a couple of times a day for the next few weeks, you will start to make a habit of being in the love response. And it's so simple to do. I do it while I'm standing in line at the grocery store or while I'm sitting on the phone talking to somebody. Nobody has to even know that you're doing it. And that's what I recommend you do. Simple practice, a couple times a day for the next few weeks, and you'll notice a difference in your life.
That's fantastic. Sometimes it really is the simplest things that make the most profound difference.
Absolutely. And sometimes people say to me, oh, that can't possibly do much. Try it. Use your own life as an experiment and see for yourself.
Well, why not? Why not? Why not be our own guinea pigs? We know none of us gets out of this experience alive anyway.
Right.
We might as well enjoy it while we're here.
Right.
So, Marci, what is the legacy you want to leave?
Well, I really believe that, I feel moved, called to help people raise their happiness level. And I really see that happiness is the thing that we all want more than anything. And we have in our society an epidemic of unhappiness. 1 out of 4 women in North America is on antidepressants. That's staggering. And it doesn't have to be that way. These simple practices of raising your happiness set point, whether you're already happy, it also works. Tina, you mentioned you're already happy. It still works. Anyone can raise their happiness set point. And that's the legacy that I want to leave, is to help people do that. And sometimes I'm asked, well, isn't that selfish? You're all about people just getting happier themselves. What about the rest? What about the world? Don't we have to be concerned about the world? And my answer is that the biggest thing that you can do to help the world is to raise your own happiness level, because when you're happier, it affects your family, your friends, your coworkers, your community. And ultimately, I think it's the best thing you can do for the world. And I always love to share this Chinese proverb that sums up why I'm so passionate about doing what I do and what I really feel the legacy is it goes like this. It says, when there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. When there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. And my prayer and my wish for every single one of us is that we feel that light in our own souls, that happiness in our own lives. And through that, we help create more peace here on this planet of ours.
Thank you, Marci. Thank you. And thank you for cultivating the light in your own soul so that you can share it and shine it and create more light with all of us as well.
Well, I know I believe that everyone who's listening, it's not an accident that you listened to this. Your soul called you to this because your soul knew that there was something in this that you were to hear that it was saying to listen. So I'm delighted, I'm honored, as I said, to be in this conversation with all of us together, because our souls called us to this conversation. And I believe now is the time, and we are the people right now who are here to raise the energetic vibration on the planet, to get happier. And that affects our success, and that affects, I know that this is the Start Something show. And what I know is that when you start the something that you start, if it's happiness, creating greater happiness, that whatever it is that you're starting in your career, in your life, with your family, that will only benefit from you being happier.
All right, super starters, if you're listening, we have our mission. Get out there, become happier. The happier you are, the more of a change you'll make in the world, the more money you'll make, and the more we'll pass it on to our children and future generations, and all of us leaving a legacy that makes us proud to have lived. So thanks again, Marci, for being here. And thank you all for listening for the Backstage Pass of the Start Something show. We'll see you next week. Hey, it's Tina Dietz for one more quick note. I'm dying to know, how is your happiness level after listening to that interview with Marci? If this made a difference for you, then go ahead and share it with someone you care about, either on social media or through email, or even just pick up the phone. You can get all the show notes for this episode, including how to connect with Marci more, You can get all the show notes for this episode, including all the links we talked about and how to connect with Marci more, at thestartsomethingshow.com. And you can also leave me a message too, because I'd love to hear from you. And speaking of happiness, if you are enjoying the show, then make sure you subscribe to the Start Something Show so you always get all of our latest episodes. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or even YouTube, wherever fine podcasts are found. So have a very happy week, everyone. This is Tina Dietz, and I'll see you next time here on the Backstage Pass of the Start Something Show.